Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Dr. Goji, the Collector, and since I have a doctorate in nerdgonomics, it is my job to dissect and diagnose various things within the nerddom to which I love, and I'm sure you do too. Now, today's episode was originally supposed to be about Godzilla versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book line. However, at the time of recording, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, the animated series, possibly the best Batman to have ever existed, sadly passed away yesterday at the age of 66. Now, I actually had the privilege a few months ago at the Mississippi Comic-Con to meet Mr. Conroy, and the few interactions I had with him, he was a pretty cool dude. So today, in tribute of Mr. Kevin Conroy, we're going to dissect and diagnose Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm is a wild ride from start to finish. Not only is the plot of the story fantastic, but the voice acting complements the art of the animation, which is also fantastic in its own right. The vibe of the film is 40s noir with a futuristic touch. And although it was marketed for children, it has some very adult themes. And no one in this movie is afraid to bust a fucking cap. For starters, this movie is owned and distributed by Warner Bros. Entertainment, and it was produced by Warner Bros. Animation, the very first movie they ever produced, and it sparked the beginning of the DC animated films. It was the only movie to get a theatrical release. It only made $5.6 million of its $6 million budget in theaters, but did fantastic once it released to video. The movie released in theaters December 25th, 1993, which technically makes it a Christmas movie, and is about an hour and 16 minutes long if you include the credits. This movie is sort of a spin-off of Batman the Animated Series, taking place between the first and second seasons. Although the plot is inspired by Mike Barr's Batman Year 2 comic arc. It was directed by Eric Radomski and Bruce Timm. The story was mostly written by Alan Burnett, and the musical score was composed by Shirley Walker. Fun fact, this series and subsequent movies that follow the series were drawn on black paper, meaning that the black is real super dark, and it also helps the color, such as what you see in the architecture and the designs, really stand out and pop. It really added to the gritty, grainy feel of this Batman, making the 40s noir and everything just feel so much more realistic and believable. You really felt like this could actually be a universe that exists. Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to ask for likes and subscribes. So if you're watching this video and you like what you see, give a like, maybe give a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It would help me to continue my, operations. Besides, it's not like whacked out for likes or subscribes or anything. Please like and subscribe! Okay, so our movie begins with Batman, voiced by Kevin Conroy, busting in on a mob boss meeting. They try to fight him, but when that obviously doesn't work, they go to plan B, which is get the fuck out of Dodge. However, as the biggest mob boss in the room is running to his car, he's attacked by a hooded figure. He gets the idea to try to run the hooded figure over, as one does, but the hooded figure causes him to crash his car, killing the mob boss to death. The hooded figure is known as the Phantasm, voiced by Stacy Keach. Fun fact, the design of the Phantasm is supposed to model that of the Ghost of Christmas Future, and Joker later on in the movie even has a line stating exactly this.
I've seen the guy. He looks more like the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Batman finds the car and presumes the guy is killed to death. Civilians down below see Batman and for some reason assume he's the killer. Batman finds a clue on the shattered glass. Never mind that though, he's gotta chase the Phantasm for all of about 10 seconds. We are then introduced to City Councilman Arthur Reeves, voiced by Hart Bachner, who promises to bring Batman to justice for the murder of the jackass in the flying car. Bruce takes the clue that he found earlier of glass with residue on it back to the Batcave so it can be studied and analyzed, and while that's going on, he decides to throw a fucking rager. Bruce, who is looking like a high-end pimp with a purpose, is having fun with his floozies, until one that he never called back walks up and splashes her drink in his face, giving him instant sad face. This instant sad face triggers an ass ton of flashbacks where we see Bruce Wayne 10 years prior before he was technically Batman, and his first love, Andrea, voiced by Dana Delaney. For this story, Andrea was Bruce's one true love, and as we can tell by this scene, they get pretty damn close. Ain't that right, Alfred? After seeing several flashbacks that set up the romance and partial plot to this movie, we cut to a graveyard, where Air Jordan's ex-mafioso clique buddy is coming to bring flowers for his gravestone. However, he makes the classic horror movie mistake by telling his bodyguards to stay behind while he goes to the gravesite by himself. I bet you can't guess what happens next, boys and girls. If you guessed that the Phantasm was gonna show up, chase him into an open grave, and then fucking murder him to death with a headstone, then congratulations, you got it. So this mob boss's bodyguards, which when you stop to think about it has a way more literal term now, see the Phantasm and pop a few rounds off, but don't hit them and the Phantasm escapes. They, however, mistake the Phantasm for Batman, leading the Mafia to believe that now that's two bodies dropped by the Bat. Against Commissioner Gordon's wishes, City Councilman Reeves decides to set a trap for Batman now that everybody believes he's added two bodies to the city morgue. So they strobe up the bat light and wait. However, Batman doesn't have time for that shit. He's got a murder to investigate. Once Batman is at the cemetery, he doesn't really find any clues, but what he does find is romance plot advancement. That's right, folks, Andrea's back in town and Bruce is not taking it well. This instant sad face once again triggers an ass ton of plot-relevant flashbacks. However, while Batman is off in La La Land, a third mob boss named Sal Valestra is steadily trying to find help to save himself from the Batman, because he had personal connections with the first two mobsters that were killed. Sal turns to Reeves, as Reeves used to work for the Mafia before elected councilman. However, Reeves only offers him normal protection, and Sal reminds him that this is fucking Batman and that's not gonna work. So the problem continues. Batman, being the world's greatest detective that he is, also puts two and two together and figures out Sal is next on the Phantasm's hit list. While Sal is out and about on the town trying to find protection from Batman, Batman decides he's going to do a little home invasion action to find any evidence linking all of this together. He does manage to find a picture frame that not only has all three of the mobsters in it, but Andrea's father! Dun dun dun! And in seeing this picture frame, it immediately triggers more plot-relevant flashbacks. While Batman is busy with his search, minus the warrant, Sal turns to the one guy he thinks can help him out of this. None other than the Joker, voiced by the one and only Mark Hamill. Sal busts out a suitcase of cash to convince the Joker to kill Batman. Joker's not interested though. That's when Sal reminds him he was in the old gang too and his hands are even dirtier. This pisses the Joker off, of course, but the Joker does agree to help his old pal Sal out. But we all know what the Joker's help means, and with that face he knew he fucked up. After some plot-relevant romance scenes between Andrea and Batman, and yes, Andrea knows Bruce is Batman by this point, we catch up with the motherfucking Phantasm, who we haven't seen in a hot minute, about to make Sal the third victim on the list. But what's this? Crisscross? Come to find out, Joker never thought Batman was involved, so he killed Sal and left him as a nice little trap to figure out who was really offing the old gang, and this trap ends in a bang. The Phantasm, however, is unscathed by the Joker's trap, and Batman shows up shortly after to give chase. Just when we think we're about to get a one-on-one fight between Batman and the Phantasm, the Fuzz has to show up and ruin it. The Phantasm escapes, and Batman is being chased down. An epic police chase ensues, and Batman is cornered. However, Andrea shows up at the last second and rescues him. We then cut to Wayne Manor, where we find Andrea and Bruce, and she's about to take an expedition dump all over him by explaining the picture with her father and the mafiosos. And then Bruce spends the night giving her a good old DNA dump. After a wild night with some really good booty, Bruce is thinking about hanging up the cape for goodsies. However, upon further inspection of that photo, he realizes something funny, that one of the gangsters is in fact the Joker, gasp gasp. The climax of the movie is set up when the Phantasm shows up to finish the job by killing the Joker, and it becomes an all-out brawl between the Phantasm, Joker, and Batman. The climax of the movie is also where we finally learn the identity of the Phantasm. Now then, I've dissected and studied the movie, and my diagnosis is, without a shadow of a doubt, that you need to watch this movie. And then after you watch it, you need to fucking buy it, because this movie belongs either up on the shelf or in the video library. This is a fantastic movie. The plot/story by itself is worth it. It's got thrills, it's got suspense, it's got action, it's got drama, it's got mystery. Anyone of any age can enjoy this movie. And although some of the plot threads can be kind of guessed early on, there are other plot threads where you're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. The style in which it's drawn is fantastic because, once again, it's drawn on black paper. It really makes the coloring pop. Both the black and the colors really pops. And the voice acting is fantastic. There's a reason why Kevin Conroy is considered the voice of Batman, and why Mark Hamill is considered the voice of the Joker. If you've seen this movie before, then you know I left out characters and certain plot points. I did this on purpose for the mystery and the suspense of the story, like Andrea's dad or Reeves' actual involvement. That way, if you haven't seen it, you'll be inclined to do so. You need to own this movie. Like, own it, okay? I own it digitally, but I'm also going to buy a physical copy, so own this DVD. Now, join me next week as, once again, we're going to review Godzilla versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book line. I've been Dr. Goji, the Collector, and I'll catch you next time.